Car Talk is presented by Gates Automotive, Northern Indiana's premier local owned auto dealer, specializing in Toyota, Chevy, and pre-owned vehicle sales and service. Gates Automotive has locations in South Bend, Mishawaka, Granger, and Elkhart. For more information, visit gatesautomotive.com.
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in for this episode of Car Talk presented by Gates Automotive, where we talk about everything car related from buying, selling, to financing and servicing. Today's guest is best known for how he serves and cares for his clients. You might walk in the door not knowing him, but you walk out a friend. I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Andrew Claeys.
Hey.
Andrew, thank you for being on today.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for fitting this in your schedule and making this work. You're a huge asset to Gates for a lot of reasons, but I think it's just because you take care of your customers so well.
They are the world to me, so I can't be. They're the reason I'm here.
You're right. It's a two-way street.
Absolutely.
So what would you say makes you different than other people, whether it's people you work with, people at other dealerships? How do you go above and beyond for your clients?
So I always tell my clients that you've got your personal assistant in the car business is always a phrase I use. So I take that really seriously. I really do. If you've ever had an experience to ever have somebody that you've gone, maybe a realtor, maybe you've gone to a clothing store and somebody's taking care of you, or a private banker kind of thing, like that's the kind of mentality I want to adopt, and I want to make it a very Disney-like experience. So immersive. You walk in, and if you can text me and say, hey, get this ready or go pick this up and drop this off. I'm dropping off a car today for a client after I'm getting done here. So I take that really seriously you're my world. I take care of you. That's you're everything to me.
And you just go above and beyond to over deliver in every single aspect.
I pride myself on that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, for this first part, we're going to do what we call a 30-second rundown, where I throw as many questions to you as possible in 30 seconds. We're going to put 30 seconds on the clock.
All right.
You're going to do great.
Okay. No pressure.
3, 2, 1. What's your full name?
Andrew Claeys.
Where were you born?
I was born in Mishawaka.
Where'd you go to high school?
Penn High School.
What'd you do after high school?
I was a missionary in South Africa.
Wow.
Yeah.
What were the sports you liked doing in high school?
I was a wrestler and football player.
Awesome. Where are you married?
Yes, I am.
When did you get married?
We got married in October of 2019.
Where did you meet your wife?
So I met my wife doing theater, actually.
That's awesome.
Yep.
What's your favorite thing to do with your wife?
We are big, we're foodies. So we like trying new restaurants, trying new places to just do something new that we've never done before.
Perfect. So that's 30 seconds right there. Awesome job. Well, let's get right into it. So we talked about how you go above and beyond for your clients, but let's really talk about what that means.
Sure.
So you are really good at connecting and networking with people before they even are in the market for a car.
Absolutely.
And you like investing in people because you know, not just because it's going to pay off, but because it's good for them long term.
Sure.
So let's kind of talk through that process of what you go through. What is it like to approach, let's call it a cold lead, but it's just anybody on the street?
Sure.
How do you do that? How do you build a relationship with them, and how do you make it authentic and real like you've done?
Sure. Well, again, nobody wants to feel like they're new at something, right? Nobody likes that feeling at all.
True.
And so whenever somebody walks into the dealership, it's like that feeling all over again. Like, oh, this is new. I don't know what's going on. My guards are up, that sort of thing. And so anything I can do to diffuse that situation, I try to, just because I get it. I've been there. I know how uncomfortable that can be to walk into somewhere and just say, hey, I need help. So that's, I get it. So I try to make jokes. I'll say, tell them about what I'm doing, how much I appreciate them coming in. Hey, my go-to question is, hey, how can I help? Like, I'm here to serve you. What can I do? You tell me what I can do the best to make you feel the most comfortable. Because again, this is, I really mean it. And Gates says this from the beginning, but they're family owned and they treat us like family. So they expect us to treat you like family. And that is 100%. If you're coming into my house outside of work, you're going to feel comfortable. And I want to make it like, hey, you're always welcome. And it's the same way walking into the dealership.
That's awesome. That's what I love about Gates is the ownership, the leadership has done such a great job at setting that pace of, hey, here's our family.
Yes.
We're going to pour into you so that you can pour into your customers too.
Right.
They've just done a great job at that. And just like you said, you want it to be like they're coming into your living room and you're taking care of them and you're being a good host.
Right.
Because they are coming into your house. They are your figurative house.
Right, exactly. Yeah. My home away from home, for sure.
Where you spend more time than your real house, right?
I probably do, more than you know.
One thing you do at your job also is you go above and beyond to commit not only just during hours but also outside of hours. What would you say outside of hours you commit to your job? Outside of normal working hours.
Sure. It really obviously just depends on the person and the week and that sort of thing. Some weeks are more than others, but I try to really strive not to do a ton outside of the office because my wife deserves my attention as well. Right?
I love that. Yeah.
Probably more than my job.
Yeah.
Right. Which is hard because this is fun for this is fun for me. This is not work. It's a hobby. You know what I mean? That I get to make money doing. So it's a blessing. But yeah, I try to balance that well where it's, hey, put the phone down, spend some quality time with my wife, take her out, make her feel like she's the only person in the room. And, but then also I make sure that, again, my clients are priority to me as well. So again, if they need something, I want them to know they can always call me or text me and I'll take care of them. So.
Yeah, and I got to imagine that's a really tough balance sometimes because you've got your wife who's your top priority and then your clients too that you also need to deliver to.
Yeah, no, I mean it is. Like I said, it's always a balancing act. And again, as I'm in it longer, I'm finding a better way to balance it and when's a good time to respond and knowing when there's actual like, hey, this needs to get done now or this can wait till the morning kind of thing. And so finding that balance. And I relate it back to anything, serving or whatever. Is communication is key. As long as you communicate with the person and say, hey, I haven't forgotten about you. I'll be right back. I'm just finishing this. Most people are usually pretty understanding.
Yeah. And then that way you're not spending like a huge amount of time on them, especially when you're with your wife,
right?
With a different priority outside of work. So that way you're at least communicating with them. That's just like you said. It's probably the most important thing is communication.
It is communication. Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. So what brought you to Gates?
Oh boy, that's a lot of time. It's funny because before I got into the car business, I was doing like door-to-door sales, and it was very different. And the one thing I found out very quickly, I did not like that. That was a grind. It was knocking on doors. But the one thing I said, Sarah was like, "Well, let's figure out what do you want to do next." And she's like, "Well, you should think about being a car salesman." I'm like, "No, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be a car salesman. That's like the last thing I want to be." She's like, "Why?" I said, because people avoid those guys. Like they don't want to be around them.
They avoid them like the plague.
And honestly, I would say 80% of people have never had a bad experience with a car salesman. It's just a stigma, right? It's something that you see on TV or you hear about from your parents or your family or back in the day or whatever. So and that was me. Like I never had a bad experience. I don't think I even had been in a car dealership at that point. I just knew the stigma of a car salesman, you know what I mean? And I just didn't want to be someone that people avoided, when they were around me. And I quickly learned that you get to determine that. You get to determine like if you're the person that people avoid with your personality or if you're beyond helpful and people want your help. So yeah, I found that was just more of a irrational fear, I guess. So
yeah, that's what's crazy too. There's this huge difference between car salesmen that people like and car salesmen that people hate. Yeah. So just like you said, there's a huge negative stigma to that, even though, just like you said, 80% of them have never had a bad experience themselves. It's just this shared collective thought that car salesmen are bad. And that's not the case. Is you can provide value to your clients so that you're the exact opposite.
Right.
So that instead of you being like, oh man, that guy's a car salesman.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, this is the guy. This is the person you want to go to. Oh, my friend is looking for a car, Andrew. Yep. So can you reach out to them? Can you help them? Because you helped me. In fact, before we even started rolling, you were talking about you were just at a routine place in your life somewhere, and someone was talking about someone else there that was looking for a car, and they just introduced you and started that off. So let's talk through that real fast.
Yeah, it was crazy actually. So my wife and I, we actually have a place that we like to go to every Thursday. And
now it's crazy, but for you, this happens all the time, doesn't it?
It does more than it's happening more. I should say that, but yeah, no, we were just sitting down and we were just out to dinner, that sort of thing. And then a good friend of ours was actually the bartender, and he heard somebody over. He was talking to this friend at the bar about what they were looking for or whatever. And then, excuse me, Matt was actually mentioning, hey, well, I know this person, kind of thing, and so it's just funny how those dots connected, and come to find out this person is well connected with Gates. He's a great guy, and so I'm really I'm excited to work with him. And there's a ton of, so that's just how the business goes, right? Is you're just
exactly
right place, right time. That's why it doesn't wear your jersey on your sleeve, as a lot of people say.
Yeah,
is just wear your jersey, because you never know. Like, you just never know where you're going to meet somebody. So. Yeah,
exactly. And with you being so loud and proud about where you work and what you do, it's because you go out of your way for your clients.
Yeah.
Because that you build that personal relationship with them. That's why people love you, so that they continue to refer you to the right people. And we've talked about how much you care for your clients. Now let's talk about what it means unit-wise.
Sure.
Like last year at your store, you sold the most cars and helped the most people in your store.
I was blessed to be able to do that. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. How many was it?
I sold 292 last year.
So you helped 292 people.
Yep.
Buy the right car for them.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a good year.
That's awesome. And to think that if this was any other year, that would have made you number one in the entire group.
Yeah.
And at Gates Automotive, we had Glenn Walton, who put up a huge number. It almost seems impossible to even think about.
Yeah, I have nothing but respect for Glenn. I think he's a great salesman, and I've learned a lot actually from him over the years. And
shout out to Glenn.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, shout out to you. I've adopted a lot of his methods into my business, and that's, I've learned a lot. And I always, somebody once told me actually back a long time ago, and I still say this is true, that to be able to grow, you always need to have somebody that's better than you that you're learning from, and you always need to have somebody that's under you that you're teaching them. And so that way you're teaching and you learn from that, and then you're also growing at the same time. And I'm thankful that I'm getting the chance to help out a lot of the new salesmen that come into the dealership. I'm a lot of times they're shadowing me for the first couple of weeks, and getting to help them understand there's a good way of doing this business, and there's a bad way, and there's you get to decide how you want to do it.
Exactly.
And
you get to pick.
Yeah, you do. I say that it's always a joke I say to new guys, but I say, well, you get to make the decision. Do you want to sit at the front door for the next 30 years and pound the pavement? Which is fine. There's some people that are super successful at that. Do it. Just pound the pavement for the next 30 years. Or would you rather 30 years from now be taking naps in your office while somebody's working your deals for you?
Yeah.
You get to decide. How do you want to do it? And I said, there's no wrong answer. It's just a different way of life. How do you want to, what kind of style of life do you want? And so I kind of make that joke every time. So, and it gets sets in usually. So.
Yeah. Well, it's a good lesson is that you can build things that pay off in a year from now,
right?
5 years from now, 20 years from now,
right?
Or you can just do what's easy right now. Do what's expedient. And normally the expedient thing is not the right answer. You need to do something that's worthwhile so that you continue to build in yourself. And that's one, so there's this book called 12 Rules of Life.
Sure.
And that's one of the rules is that you don't do what's expedient, you do what is purposeful.
Yeah.
And that's a great philosophy. I mean, you're a living proof of that, is that you're not out there doing what's easy today. You're doing stuff that pays off in the future.
Right.
So let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
How do you do that? How do you build relationships with people so that 3 years down the road that they don't come to you?
I think it really just comes down to, again, just caring. I mean, I think that's just number one, caring about somebody's life, right? I mean, everybody, or I shouldn't say everybody, I guess, but there are certain individuals out there that just, that are always asking about your life, what's going on, how you doing, and it just makes you feel good, right? It makes you feel like, oh, somebody cares, somebody's like thinking about me, sort of thing. And so that's the same way. I think it's just care about somebody's life, and it's the old saying, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, right? And
that's
so,
true.
Again, if you show, hey, you care about me, you genuinely care not just about this sale and about the money, but it's legit about the family and my well-being, and that you're looking out for me. And again, I've told people, I want what's best. I just want to I want to help out. So I've advised people, hey, I think this is a great deal. You should go buy this one and not buy from me, because I care more about you than I do about the car sale. I mean, car sales are just a byproduct and just what I get to do to meet people. this is another ministry to me of what I was already doing before I was in the business,
Man,
so
I love that.
yeah. So again, it's not about the money. It's not about the sales. It's about helping people. And
It's about the people.
It's about the people. Yeah.
And
yeah.
Gates is doing a good job at setting that up too, is that
Absolutely.
it's not about selling them one car. It's about helping them
Right.
so that they're in a good situation and they come back and they come to you for
Right.
that.
Right.
They've just done a great job at that because we've been around for so many generations.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
and they know that it's not just about them.
Yes.
And it doesn't stop with them. It's the next generation. It's the generation after that. And it's not just Mike Clark's this best. So shout out to Mike.
Yeah, yeah.
But he said it's not even about their family. It's about your family. It's about my family.
Right.
It's about all that we're helping build together. It's about the community and the next generation for them.
Right.
They've just done a great job at that.
Yeah, no, they have. I mean, it's the reputation stands for itself. I mean, I all you have to do is say Gates and that they're family owned, and that speaks volumes. It speaks volumes to me. I mean, if I knew somebody that was a family owned business, I always say you'll see the owners walking around shaking hands, kissing babies, sort of thing. I mean,
But that's what you see.
That's what you see, right? Right. And so, but like, I mean, who doesn't want that, right? Who doesn't want to be able to walk up and shake the owner's hand and know that, oh, this is a business that's been around almost the entire length of the car industry. I mean, I don't think I know another dealership that's been around longer than we have. And so
Exactly.
that just that speaks volumes in itself. You know what I mean? And that's a big reason why I chose to work at Gates, is because especially during the years like the pandemic and 2020, while other dealerships were laying people off, Gates gave us a bonus and gave us time off and paid for it.
That's right.
Like, so that just, I mean, that alone tells me how much they care.
Yeah, exactly.
Tells me how much they care.
And I think there's a lot of other things that makes us different than other dealerships. It's the culture. So at your store,
Yeah.
how at your store at Granger,
Mhm.
how would you describe the culture at your store?
We have a really good team, really. I mean, I always say I equate it to a football team. It really is, man. We are a bunch of dudes hanging out, having fun, selling cars.
Shout out to the team in Granger.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, it is just like it's just like playing football back at Penn all over again. And I'll tell you, it's just we get mad at each other, we laugh at each other, we fool around, we prank wars. I mean, it is like hanging out in a guy's locker room again all over again. And I tell you, man, that's what makes it fun. Beyond just obviously selling cars is fun and getting to work with my clients, and that's the primary goal. But just nobody wants to come into a toxic atmosphere at work, and try and succeed. You know what I mean? So when you come in and it's fun, that's what makes me want to stop. I mean, that's what makes people want to stay forever. You know what I mean? If you have fun at your job, you make money, and you love what you do. I mean, why would you ever look for another place?
Exactly. Why would you go somewhere else?
Why would you? I mean, you're trying to find that in a job wherever you go. You know what I mean? So.
And you're trying to find something that you like doing, but above that, you've taken it to the next level. So you're passionate about it.
Yeah.
And you're passionate about people.
Yes.
Where do you think that comes from? What drives you to be so passionate about people?
I think it's just I think it really is just a DNA thing. Like, again, I think it goes back to the roots of the missionary side of things, and just, I think I've always just really had a servant's heart for people. It's funny. I hear people say, I hate people. Well, I love people. Like, I love it. I think it's just fun. I mean, I think there's just it's just so interesting. It's a puzzle, right? Everybody's looking for somebody that just cares. And when you find somebody, man, loyalty just runs thick. And I love it. And that's why, I mean, it's over the years, and you sell more and more cars, you get to know people, you call them on the regular basis, you get to know their kids. It's so fun when I get to see a friend of mine that I sold a car to, and he's got a baby, and I can't imagine when he's going to call me 20 years from now and say, hey, my son needs a car. And I'm going to think, oh,
how cool is that going to be?
I remember when you had him. Like, it's just like, that's the kind of stuff I'm looking forward to. You know what I mean? And that's like, I don't want to just move on one thing to the next. I want to see that progression. Like that's a joy in life to me that I want to look forward to, is seeing people succeed and get to see that. And so, I get to see it a lot in my job, which is fun. And helping people that maybe have had a rough start get there. Like, hey, help me out. I don't know what I'm doing. I've never done this. Nobody's ever taught me this. Teach me. And you can tell. I mean, some people only want a little bit of your knowledge, which is fine. And some people want it all. And a lot of people and there's nothing wrong with that. They've never had somebody to teach them what it's like to be financially successful and how to do it well. And it's cool that I get to be that voice, which is fun.
And so many people are looking for that, something that's knowledgeable, so that they not only can make the right decision about their car, but also a financial decision.
Right.
I'm not saying you're a financial advisor, but
No,
by all means, you want them to be successful in
100%.
all areas of their life.
100%. And that's why networking is so huge, because I can give people assets. I can give people resources to go and, hey, I'm looking for a house, or I'm looking for somebody to help me with my finances. And again, maybe I can offer this much knowledge in this area, but now I've got 10 other people that I can say, well, you need to go. This is a very good friend of mine that I trust, and I would trust with my whole being that he's going to take care of you, she's going to take care of you, whatever. And so it's nice to be able to, you're the quarterback for all that, more or less. You know what I mean? You're the
connection guy,
You're
right?
the connection guy. And that's fun for me. Again, like I said, my loyalty runs thick if I find somebody that I trust and I know they're going to take good care of people. And it's, again, so I have no problem saying, go see this person if I really know that they're going to do a good job and take care of them and have their best interests at heart.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to steal this from an episode of How I Met Your Mother.
Okay.
So, one of the main characters, he was going through all these different guys he had. He's like, I got a car guy.
Yeah.
I got a boat guy.
Yeah.
I got a lawyer guy. I've even got a guy for my guys. I got a guy. And that's what you are, is you're a guy.
The guy. I'm the guy. I got you want a guy, it's funny. I always say people that live out in like the East, especially from like Philly and New York, they're like, I got a guy. And I'm like, I'm your guy. I'll be your guy. Come on.
You need a guy? I got
that guy. You need a sandwich guy? Oh, I got that guy. He'll go get it for you. I got it. Yeah. No, I love it. I love being the guy.
Yeah.
So.
How funny. So one thing we talk about lots is networking, and one small component of that, it's not all your networking, but there's a thing called BNI that you're a part of.
Yeah.
What is BNI? What does that involve?
Mm-hmm. So BNI was founded a long time ago. It's actually there's over 250,000 groups that meet across the globe now.
Wow.
It's humongous. It is humongous. I think it's the largest networking group in the world now. And what it stands for, BNI, is Business Networking International, is what it actually stands for. And Evan Meisner was the original owner of it, the original founder of it that started it. And the whole goal behind it was giver's gain, is what he always says. So you give, so giver's gain. It's exactly what it sounds like. I give you, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. And it's great. We get together every week. I get together with, I've got a group of about 40 people that we meet with, and we're always growing all the time. And it's awesome. We, 40 different owners or salesmen or any type of business that you can think of. I mean, everything from car sales to realtor to HVAC to, I think we have somebody that does AstroTurf. You know what I mean? So it's just like, so it's everything you can think of. And like I said, they're always growing. I mean, they're always looking for new types of businesses. And the one thing I love about it primarily is obviously the connections. I mean, it's great. People do it for a long time. I mean, I know my group started, I think 13 years ago, and there's some people that have been in it since the very beginning.
Wow.
So people stay. I mean, it's a thing. People love it, and it's worth it. It's just, again, you're just another way to, the whole goal is you're going in, they say, go in with the big serving spoon, not the small one. Serving to serve the group, but not try and just feed yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so people go in with that mentality of like, hey, I'm going to serve you. And again, it's the residual that comes back from it, so, but no, it's great. We get together every week. We have lunch. We network. We talk about how the week was. We have, what they call one-on-ones every week, where we just have meetings and lunches. And again, you have essentially 40 people that are always working for you, always looking to help you grow your business, and you're doing the same thing. And beyond just the growing the business, like I said, it's nice to just know someone. Somebody says, hey, I need somebody in HVAC. When would I ever know somebody in HVAC? You know what I mean? And so
exactly.
It's nice that I do. Like, again, like people want to refer people. Like it's you feel good when you know somebody and you can help somebody. And so if somebody says, hey, I need a dentist, like, hey, I've got a really good dentist, let's go see him, and just that sort of thing. So it's a great, and the nice thing about it is that each, what they call chapter, which is a group, is you can only have one individual from each industry. So like I'm the only one that can be from car sales.
Yeah, so there's no duplicates.
Nope. Yeah. So it's great because, again, we really it's nice that way you're not having to compete. That way you're just, again, like I said, loyalty runs thick, and people take that, very seriously. I know a lot of people that say if they're not say they don't have a car salesman in this group, they'll call all the BNIs in the region to find a car salesman before they just go ask for one, a different referral.
Yeah.
Which is cool. Like I said, people, I love that about BNI.
Yeah, that's cool. And just like you said, it's about giving generously and doing it first before trying to figure out what it's going to do for you in return.
Right.
It's you walk into that relationship saying, okay, I'm going to do as much as I can for other people first so that we can make that work. And then maybe down the road something will happen.
Right.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it's I'm blessed, like I said, to find that. I have a really good group of people that have been there. They've been around a long time, and like I said, we're always growing. So it's it's cool to be able to have friends in all industries and be able to. I got a guy.
Yeah,
I got a guy.
You're the guy.
I got the guy, man.
So you spent some time in Africa.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that,
man.
What caused you to go to Africa?
Well, my friend, I said, can I go surf every day? Can I get away from my folks? I'm there. I'm moving. That was actually, it's funny. That
Vacation away, right?
Oh my gosh, man. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. So I graduated, like I said, from Penn, and afterwards, I intended to go and play sports in college and that sort of thing, but, injuries kind of hindered that. So I didn't really know what I was going to do next. I had some plans and they fell through. And so now I was kind of after graduation, I was trying to figure out, okay, like what I expected I was going to do didn't happen. And so now what's next? And, I had the opportunity arise to, had a friend that knew a friend and all that, kind of connections that they had, they were actually missionaries over in South Africa, and they'd lived there for, I believe it was like 20 years, and they had 3 kids there. They raised their own kids. Oh yeah. They're full time there, and that's what they did. And so they happened to be coming back here, his wife. So the wife and husband, the wife was from this area. And so they were coming back just to see family and, see their friends and, can network and that sort of thing. And so, they happened to be coming back that summer after graduation. And so it was a perfect timing that I got to meet him and how that all worked out. And then he said, hey, we're getting ready to start this school. It's called a DTS, so a discipleship training school, was starting in September. And I said, well, can I get away from my parents? He's like, yeah. I was like, can I surf every day? Because it sounds like you're at a beachy place. He's like, yeah, people surf all the time. I'm like, say no more. I'm there. Let's go. And so that was it. That was all he had to say. And I was like, I'll see you in September. And this was in like June. And so, yeah. And so, like I said, I intended to go. It was a 6-month program. And I intended to go 6 months. And, man, I tell you, God just radically, he just rattled my cage when I was there and just said, this is for me, and I loved it, and I got to meet. It was very cool where we had stayed. I stayed in Cape Town specifically. It was where I started, and it was actually a suburb of Cape Town called Muizenberg, and we were down there. We got to meet a bunch of other. It was Youth with a Mission is what the organization was called, and so there was people from all around the world that did Youth with a Mission, right? And so it was cool. I was in a room. Originally, I was in a big room with 7 roommates, and I was the only American. So like it was cool. Like that was an experience in itself of like. Not even just the language barrier and getting to know people, but like I had a bag of chips and somebody's reaching into my bag of chips trying to steal my food, and I'm like, don't touch my food. Like, what are we doing? It's like, but it's just a cultural thing. Like, you walk into a room there, and if you don't offer to share your food with everybody, you're rude. And that was like, that took some getting used to. I was like, all right, this was like the first week in South Africa. I'm like, well, I'm not used to this. This is a whole new experience. And so that, I learned so much just about just a hot climate culture versus a cold climate culture, and just some cultures are very time sensitive, and some are very just I don't want to say laxy-daisy, but they're very just we'll get there when we get there and go on with life, kind of thing. So there was no there's no time crunching, which I can appreciate that so much. Like very much again, I was just telling somebody this the other day where I love where I grew up, and I love this area, and I love the kind of society we live in where we're again, it's in my roots of very time sensitive, very time,
exactly.
And I live by a schedule, but over there, it's if you say 4:00, people are getting ready at 4:00. I'll see you at 6.
Oh yeah,
yeah. They call it a soft start,
Yeah.
So, but like that's also the kind of place where if you walked up and you knocked on somebody's door just to say hi, they would offer you in for dinner. You know what I mean? So
no kidding.
Yeah, you could. So that's why I said it's 2 different worlds, and I've learned to appreciate both. Which has been really cool to get to just in the short life that I've already had, just to get to see that on both ends of the coin, and it's been nice because I've, like I said, really got to appreciate that.
Yeah, how cool. And they talk about other cultures that maybe aren't time organized, and people say that like it's a bad thing, but it's not. It's because they're just so relaxed about things.
Like I said, if you read a book, there's a really good book. It's called it's actually called Foreign to Familiar. Very short read, maybe 100 pages. You can read in a day. but it talks a lot. It talks exactly about that, the cold climate societies versus warm climate cultures.
Yeah.
And it talks about how, like I said, some are very time sensitive, time oriented, very schedule based, and which is not bad in itself by any means. Again, that's what I love it, and that's my schedule I'm used to. If somebody says 4:00, you're there at 3:50 kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But like I said, then you got the warm climate society where it's very family oriented. You walk into somebody's house, they're offering you for dinner right then, like never met you. Like it's just the culture, you know. And so, like I said, I got to see that from not only just again living in South Africa and getting to see that culture, but again the roommates I had and where their bases were, where their roots were from, right?
True.
And so, and again, that was part of a 60-person what they called school. But
oh my word, 60 people live there?
60, not in the obviously the same room. It's not like we like all slept on each other, but
in the building, right?
And it was like, yeah, I mean, so there was a base that they called it. So it was almost, I don't want to say it's boarding school. It's not boarding school, but it's similar style, right? Like they have like, you know, different. It's a massive building with rooms and, you know, that sort of thing. And then you have classrooms and you have kind of a cafeteria type place, but it's all within like how they had this base was all within almost like a community. Yeah. Like you were in the community and you had. You know, again, like it was actually cool. Part of our assignment while we were there was we actually had to do something involved with the community because again, the goal was not to just be known, but to make him known and to be a part of something, right? So it was cool. I actually got to serve in a coffee shop there I ended up staying for over a year, and I ended up serving in a coffee shop, getting to work side and getting to see people come. And again, it was all voluntary work. I only worked probably 5 or 6 hours a week. So it wasn't anything special, but it was, again,
well, that's one of the commitments was when you go there, you have to go to a business or somewhere and say, hey, I will work for free. Right.
It was kind of like, again, we had to serve on the base. We had to do some sort of we had to do something on the base. So whether it was serving they had a coffee shop actually on the base, or maybe it was like making dinner, or maybe we had to do the cleaning team, whatever. Like we had a certain job to keep the base running, right?
Yeah.
And then the other one was there were people that lived there, similar to the people that were running my school, that had ministries already running all the time. And so one of the things we had to do was we had to get a part of one of their ministries to do it. So I was actually cool. I was able to be a part of, I can't remember the name of the program, but it was an after school program for middle schoolers. And so I had like 8 7th graders, guys that I met with, it was like, I think every week for a year.
That's cool.
Which was amazing. I got to see their life. I got to meet them. And again, it was very, very cool getting to be a part of that. And then again, a part of that was they encouraged us, I should say, to be a part of the community in itself, right? That way we were being a part of it. So it was cool. I got to do that. I actually joined a choir over there, which was awesome. It was actually one of the most well-known choirs in Cape Town.
No kidding.
It was, dude, I was telling you, I lived a life that was fun, man. I was a part of a choir. Had a great, I think there was a lot of people in that choir. There was probably 40 to 50 people in that choir, I'd venture to say. And it was, they did everything from a cappella to singers that would sing opera to, it was a very, very, very cool time. Very young talent. There was 16-year-olds in that group that were out singing 30-year-olds. They were just, you wouldn't believe it, man. And the director had done opera, sang it all over the world. He had traveled for years. And so, yeah, it was cool. I got to learn songs in 5 different languages.
Yeah,
I got to learn them in Zulu. I got to learn them in Zulu and Afrikaans. And, it was very, very cool. Very, very cool time. And so cool. I ended up staying, I planned to go 6 months and I stayed almost, I think, a little less than 2 years.
Oh my word.
Yeah.
Would you travel back to the US at all?
I did. Yeah, actually. So the first, like I said, I went the first 6 months, which was kind of nice which was cool because it was separated really into 3 months at a time. The first 3 months were as a chunk of, you're at the base getting to know everybody. They'd bring teachers in from all over the world from different bases, and they would teach us on different topics or whatever. But so we had 12 weeks there, and then they split our 60 person school up into about 6 teams of 10, and then we'd go out for 3 months and we did more of the outreach hands-on feel. So that's where I was on a team of 10 people, and we lived in Kenya for about 3 months. And so I traveled all over Kenya doing a lot of the hands-on work, came back, and then I had about a month before I had to start the second. That was, again, at that point I decided I was going to stay for a longer period of time. So I had about a month, came home, and I think it was in March of 2017. And then, so I spent about a month home, and then, and then I ended up going back for about a year. And then that December I came home for Christmas, and then I had another 5 months and I finished up. So,
Oh my word! So that last year that you were there from March to December that whole time. So 9 months.
April to December.
Oh my word! So 8 or 9 months. That's crazy.
Yeah. Yep. And then, like I said, I came home for about 2 weeks just for a break, and then I think I came home. It was just at the end, either end of April, beginning of May. I think it was end of April that next year.
That's cool.
Yep. So it was fun. It was cool. In that time, so when I came home for those 2 weeks, so my wife and I knew each other back when I was in school, but we were just friends, and we just, like I said, we had met doing theater together through a local theater company. And so nothing really happened. Obviously, we just kind of went our own separate ways. And I happened to come back 2 years later for that break, and we saw each other out in public randomly.
No kidding.
And it was like, "How you doing? It's been years. What have you been up to?" kind of thing. And then I'm sitting there thinking, "Whoa, she's gotten good looking, man. Let me tell you." and so I was like, "Well, I'd like to take her out to coffee and just get to know her some more." And so I did. I said, "Would you like to go grab coffee?" And she won't admit it, but we had our first date that next Monday. She will say that was not a date, but it was. And so then
it's a retroactive date.
It was a retroactive, definitely. It was definitely. And so we had ended up going out. I said, "Let's grab coffee Wednesday." So she's like, "Okay." Oh, Monday my plans got canceled. Oh, okay, you want to go out? Sure. Tuesday, hey, guess what? My plans got canceled all over again. Great. We still got coffee on Wednesday, of course, right? Yeah. And so then we ended up going out that week, and then so we had a couple weeks to connect, and then I went back, and a month later we're dating. And so try starting your first like serious committed relationship at an 8-hour time difference.
Yeah, no kidding.
That took some work. And again, I'm thankful for the work that we went through, because that was it gave us a chance to just get to know each other. I mean, that was really the time that we learned a lot about each other. And it was difficult. It's difficult. It helped us learn to not be dependent upon each other, that we could still live our own lives, obviously, but still really learn what it was like to be together.
How crazy. So this one time I took a trip to Chicago by myself without my wife.
Yeah.
And without my wife and my daughter. It was recent. And it was the first, looking this through, it was the first trip that was not work related that I went out of town. And without my wife, without my daughter.
Really?
And that was crazy to go through.
Yeah. No, I know.
I was there for 2 nights. And I can't imagine what it would be with an 8-hour difference.
I know.
And also at the beginning of a relationship. So
a lot of early mornings and a lot of late nights. Just say that. Time difference wise, we had to figure it out. I remember there was she did a Valentine's Day cabaret, which was like everybody got together. They did a big fundraiser for the theater company we were part of.
That's cool.
And I remember it was.
And what theater company was it?
So the Main Stage. It was the theater company.
Shout out to Main Stage.
Yep. Shout out to Main Stage.
Shout out to your wife first.
Sarah, you're a rock
star. Shout out to Sarah.
But they actually did a Valentine's Day cabaret. That's a big fundraiser for them every year. And that was, with the time difference, it was from 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. my time. And so I was like, buy me a seat and put me on Zoom at the table. 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. I'm sitting there like scratching my eye watching her sing. It was and again, that was, like I said, I will, that's memories we'll share about for sure. So, yep.
How funny.
Yeah. Like I said, it was difficult, but man, I'll tell you, it was, we learned a lot.
What was the hardest part about doing that?
It was a lot of the time was obviously the time difference, because again, there were many days at a time where we wouldn't talk. There was, especially towards the end, I had to go to I had another outreach phase of my program at the very end. And so there I had no service at all. And so you're talking week at a time where you're not saying a word to each other.
Wow.
And so that was difficult, because there was at a time where, we said I don't even know what you look like anymore. Who are you? So
no kidding.
I have nothing but respect for people that especially for people in the military and people that can do it well. Cause it's hard. It's a very hard task to stay connected, feel like you're in the relationship and doing everything you need to do to grow it, while not talking or not being around each other, and, not having that, there's just, just a presence. I mean, there's something about a presence in a relationship that matters, that makes a huge difference versus just the words, obviously, and actions. And so it mattered. That was the hardest part, was feeling like it's been 4 or 5 months now. I don't even know what you look like, kind of thing,
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
And maybe even if you FaceTime her or you send photos,
which we did. Yeah,
we did that a lot.
Completely
different in person.
It is. Yep, it is.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yep. So, like I said, it was a challenge, and crazy. I mean, it feels like forever ago, but it was, it feels like it does. It feels like forever ago, man. So yeah, like I said, that's something I'll look forward to telling my kids and my grandkids of how me and your mom, got started, really. You know what I mean? So
Andrew, how did you know when your wife was the one?
Oh man, it didn't take very long for me to know, honestly. Like I said, we got a chance to learn a lot about each other over the, 4 or 5 months that I was just gone. And, you don't get a ton of that, right? You don't get a ton of you don't get a ton of time where it's just talking and just not, again, there's a lot of just things that you learn just by about being with each other and just body language, all that stuff, which you didn't have that, right? So I learned a lot, and I think by the time I got home, it was another 3-4 months, and I think I knew. I think by that time I was like, yep, like I'm gonna ask your parents for permission, and by that December it was when I had proposed. So it was less than a year later.
Yeah, and then the following October is when you got married.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. So about 10 months later.
How cool.
Yep.
So Andrew, we talked about a lot of things. We talked about how you serve your customers, how you go above and beyond for them. We talked about your time in Africa.
Yep.
What kind of advice would you give to someone who is looking to buy a car right now?
I would say that it helps having somebody in the business, because right now it's the greatest time in history to buy a car. I'm going to tell you that right now, especially if you're trading something in.
Yeah.
Because
they've never been worth more.
Never been worth more. But the thing, everybody's looking for a great deal. Everybody's looking for the car. If you're looking for something, chances are there's 5 other people looking for it too. You know what I mean? And used to, 5 years ago, there used to be 10 of them. You could go on and you could find them in their commodities, right? Now, I always tell people, you're shopping off the rack at Kohl's right now. Or if you find something and you like it, take it, buy it, because it's not going to be there again. You're going to find something. You have to find something else. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And so that's what I would tell people is it pays having a friend in the business, because not only does it help get a good deal, but then he can find you something, or she can find you something that is not even on the market yet. You know what I mean? Not even
exactly.
I know a lot of we're buying a lot of cars, which is great, and I know a lot of the cars coming in, and so I can forewarn people, hey, I've got this that's coming in the next week that is exactly what you're talking about.
Exactly. That's the big benefit, is that because you know that your customer is looking for something, then you've got your finger on the pulse of what's going on here.
Yes.
So that you can find that stuff before it even gets here.
Yeah. So that's what I would really tell people is, this is you're going to have a competitive edge to get more of what you want quicker by having somebody in the business than just walking into the dealership. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
So you might not think this, but I think, and a lot of other people think this too, that you're very successful at what you do.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that.
And it's become very clear it's because you care about people.
Yeah.
You love people, and you love putting them first during this whole experience. So that it's such a positive experience that they love it. They come back, they refer you, but it's not even about that. It's about giving them an awesome experience.
Yeah.
Then that's just amazing to see. What kind of advice would you give to someone who wants to be successful at whatever they do?
I think that preparation determines success. Preparation determines success. I think that the people that are going to be the most successful are going to be the people that prepare well.
That's great.
And that's the best advice I can give you, is that if you want to be successful, if you want to do it well, if you want to be able, I say that this is very similar to serving at a restaurant, right? Where people come in and everybody needs to go through roughly the same process they need to get through. So you come in and it's just like getting an appetizer, getting an entree, getting a dessert. Where are people at in the process when they come in the door? Some people have already done all the research and they want to look at this car. Some people have no idea what they want. You need to spend more time with them. Some people don't even want to buy a car that day. They just want to drive some cars and figure and just learn what they like, So you need to help people through the process of wherever they're at. And you can do that better if you've got information before they come in the door.
Yeah. You know
what I mean? I can do that better. I can help them. They spend less time in the dealership. They typically have a better experience. They're happier. They're not waiting around as long. It's an overall better experience than somebody that just walks in and has to wait, or they don't know what they're looking, whatever, what I mean? So it typically it's a happier life to live when you can come in and you have somebody that's already looking out for you. So that would be the people that are getting started in this. I would say you need to prepare well. It shows that you care too. Yeah. It really does. It shows a lot that you care, because you're already doing stuff for people before they walk in the door. So yep. Prepare well.
That's great. What kind of advice would you give to someone who maybe they don't know what they want to do in life? And how do they find out what they want to do?
You're talking in regards to career?
Anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that is, I think it's really similar to people that walk in the door, don't know what kind of car they want. You know, a lot of times the people say, I really don't have any idea what I want. Okay, let's go take a walk. Let's go see what you like.
Right.
Let's go see what you like.
Let's go find what you like.
Let's just go look. Let's go look at some stuff. Let's go. What color do you like? What body style do you like? What features do you want? What kind of miles do you want? Year, you know, again, and that's fine. You know, there's nothing wrong with not knowing what you want. That's why you trust somebody like me to take care of that, you know?
Yeah.
And so, but sometimes we just need to spend half an hour just looking at stuff and seeing. And I think it's the same way for somebody that doesn't know what they really want to do in life, where it's just, you're never going to know what you like until you just try stuff. Just get out there and just try something. You may hate it, and if you hate it, then move on to something else. And it's people think that there's a stigma that you have to have your whole life figured out by the time you're 30 or 25, you know, or even younger now,
or 18,
yeah, right. You know what I mean? And
exactly.
Somebody told me once that your 20s and 30s are where you're trying to just figure out who you are and what you like.
Yeah. There's
nothing wrong with you being 30 and still like saying, I'm just trying to figure it out. And by that time, people think it's too late, and it's just you're not even a quarter. You know, you're a quarter of the way through your life. You know, maybe. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's what I would tell people: is just try something. Just try it. You never know what you're gonna like until you try it.
Yeah. What is it about this area that makes it different than other places? What is it about this community that makes it different than other communities?
Sure. Well, like I said, it helps obviously that I was quite involved in school. So
yeah,
you know, it's nice to be able to know a lot of people in this area.
Yeah.
You know, again, especially working up in Granger, it's really close to where Penn was, so I see a lot of people that I went to school with, and it's fun, man. I tell you, I tell people all the time that I see people, oh my gosh, from every facet of life, from teachers to coaches to a pastor to you name it, of people I probably would never connect with. The bus driver, my old bus driver when I was in school, right? Like people I would never connect with, that I get a chance to do that in this industry, which is awesome. I think I think that part of me loves it more than anything, because you bring back some nostalgia, you talk about memories, you talk about how life's going right now, and then you were a part of their one area of life in one place, and then now you're a part of it in another, and before they're helping you, coaching you, teaching you, now you're helping them, coaching them, teaching them, and then you guys get to just walk as friends the rest of life. And it's just cool to see that. And so in this area,
it's a great dynamic.
It's cool. And so that's cool, because this community is not that big after once you think about it. I mean, again, it's not, you see somebody and you think, how do you know this person and this person? And it's like, you know, and then, you know, not to mention like just the area we live. I learned this a lot living overseas, that we're so central to so many things. True. You know, I talked to a lot of friends, and they're like, yeah, I live 6 hours from a beach, or if we want to go to an amusement park, we're a 10-hour drive away, or if we want to go to the city, we're a 4-hour drive away. You know what I mean? Like, I love, it gave me a better appreciation for where we live specifically, because people don't see the seasons like we do, which I appreciate. I can appreciate that as much as sometimes I don't. I do.
As we look outside.
Right. Seriously. Yeah. And then, like I said, just how central we are is that, you know, we really can, again, a city, a beach, a amusement park, a whatever. And we've got quite a bit to do even in South Bend alone that are 2 hours away, less than 2 hours away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Think of all the entertainment things you could do in just even 30, 45 minutes.
Right. So that's why I said we're blessed to be in the specifically where we're at, even in northern Indiana, because there's a lot to do here. So
exactly.
Yeah.
And even here in the U.S., we're so used to having our own vehicles and having that freedom for transportation.
Yep.
So if we are, let's say you want to go to Chicago, which is a 2-3 hour drive from this area, you can just go do it.
Right.
In other countries, there's not that huge sense of freedom.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. One of the things that you pride yourself on is putting dreams in driveways. What does that mean to you?
That to me means that if you come in and you say, I want this, I always tell people, this is like Build-A-Bear right now. Build me the car. If you were to build this thing online exactly like you want it, people think, oh, I can't get that. I can't afford that. And oh my gosh, it's one of my favorite things when people say, I can't get this. And then I'm like, well, what if you could? What if you could? Like, what if I could make something happen? I'm saying, what if I could make magic happen, and you could get exactly what you thought you couldn't get? And a lot of times it does, and it's fun. That's fun to see. That is a experience like you wouldn't believe, that somebody says, oh, I want this is my dream, and then they think they can't afford it, and then it's like, this makes sense financially, and I help them make a plan as to why this makes financial sense. And again, sometimes it's hey, I think you need to drive this for a year and then build your way up into this, and I help them make that plan too.
Yeah.
And so that's that's fun to me, is that build me the car you want, and if there's any possible way to get you exactly what you want, then that's putting dream. Like I pride myself on that, Yeah.
That's cool.
Yep.
That's cool. And just like you said, you want to go through and find exactly what they want, and then you want to help build that together and make a plan for it.
Yep.
You probably don't want to do this all the time, but what's the craziest car you've ever sold?
Craziest car I've ever sold. I sold a 1989 military Humvee. Man, that thing was bare bones. Like, I'm talking like seats are metal. Like, we're talking like, yes, if you are, that was the craziest car I've ever sold, man. Somebody came to me one time and said,
that's my dream.
Oh my gosh, man. Seriously. They came to me one time and they're like, I want you say you put dreams in driveways? Let's prove it.
Yeah.
Prove it. And then they're like, I said, so you want like an H3, right? Like the Hummers? Nope. So you want an H2? Nope. I want that sucker that those people drive in Afghanistan. I want that thing in my driveway. And I'm like, your wish is my command. All right. And so I did. We searched the country, and I got it done. The thing had a 6-digit VIN number. It didn't even have a VIN number.
Oh my word.
It had a serial number.
How crazy.
And so we got it done, and I drove it up here from Georgia, and we got them exactly what they wanted, military Humvee.
How cool.
Yep. That was probably the craziest one I've ever sold. Yep.
There's a lot of people that you've helped over the last 2.5 years, 3 years you've been in business, and a couple you named that were some crazy ones are people you already know. Mm-hmm. It's people that you went and you were they were your teachers in school.
Right.
They were your bus drivers.
Right.
There's just a lot of different ones that you've helped, and you just continue to help grow that, and so that you prove to them that, hey, you're the car guy.
Right.
So, Andrew, we talked about a lot of stuff today, whether it's how you serve your customers, how you love people, even spending some time in Africa. And I guess we're going to get down to the final big question, man, is what is it that inspires you?
Yeah, that's a good question, Jordan. That's a hard question to answer, but it's not. It's the thing that really inspires me, man, is my wife and seeing her happy. I made a commitment 2.5 years ago that I was going to lead her well, and I was going to commit to leading her, whether it was spiritually, financially, emotionally, you name it. And so I could do everything right at work, and I could get everything, and I can make everybody happy. But if I come home and she's not, then none of it matters. And so I'm blessed and thankful for the job I have and the resources to be able to do the things we can do, and be able to, just again, lead her well. And that's what really inspires me, is making sure that she's genuinely happy.
That's awesome. That's awesome, Andrew. I love that. Cool. So we're going to go ahead and draw this episode to a close. Is there anybody that you want to shout out that's helped you get to where you're at today?
I do. I got a couple people that I would love to thank. He's a good friend of mine. He has helped me become the man I am today. His name's John Facette. He's a great guy.
Shout out to John.
Jack was my roommate.
Shout out to Jack.
Yep, great guy. And then the guy that helped me realize a long time ago that I love people and I love serving people. His name's Matt Porman.
Shout out to Matt Porman.
He was my youth pastor back in the day, and now he's the lead pastor of Cornerstone Vineyard. And the guy's helped me in my marriage, and when I was a teenager, he's helped me become the man I am today. And so I have nothing but respect for that guy.
That's great, Andrew.
Yep.
Well, man, thanks for coming on here today, making this happen.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for being a part of this and sharing your story.
Appreciate you having me.
Can we do it again sometime?
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, awesome. Thank you. Thank you for listening to this episode of Car Talk, presented by Gates Automotive, where we talk about everything car-related, from buying, selling, to financing and servicing. Huge thank you to Andrew Claeys for being on here and making this episode possible, and thank you to you guys, our viewers, for listening. Thank you.